Hi, what's up everyone? This is Bo Pen. If you have watched my videos on the overview of SOS and SOS Notebook, you might have noticed something interesting about SOS, which is the ability to create external tasks from workflows and send the task to remote hosts and then get result back. So this is a really powerful mechanism so that if you are working on your laptop, you can create and send thousands of jobs to remote clusters, to remote workstations to have the job done. So in this video, I will just show you the SoS Task Model to explain what's going on with that feature. So to understand SOS Task Model, let's first assume that you have a local host, which is your laptop or desktop that you in your office that you just write your SOS workflow in a plain text format or in the SOS notebook. And then there are remote hosts, which can be a much more powerful remote workstation than your desktop or a cluster system. On that remote host, there can be optionally like PBS systems, LSF system, that's basically a class system that can accept and execute jobs. So when you on your local host, you create a task. So this is a basic task which is defined by a definition file. In that task, you define the input and output and what to do with the input. And then you know that there's also the input file for your task. And then when the task is sent to the remote host, the first step SOS is doing is to translate the task between your local and remote host. For example, in this example, you have a local machine that's a Windows system with C/users that is your file. And then on the remote host, which is a Linux system, so the path need to be translated from that one to some place on the remote host. And then SIOS will also copy your files, your input file to the remote host according to certain rules, okay? And then if the remote host is a PBS system or another task queue or just some sort of a job queue, then according to your configuration, according to your template, a shell script will be generated, which basically says, okay, this is a PBS system, we have a name, we have a load, we have the total memory used, and what's the wait time for the job. And then this shell script will basically execute the task on remote host. So that's why the remote host needs to have SOS installed. Then, after the task is sent to the PBS system, it will be executed after a day or two, and then the job will be completed, and then SOS will just copy the results back to your local host. And actually, the copy part, the transferring input to remote host, and the return result file to the local host are optional, so that you can create remote only tasks. And that's another feature, but basically you can copy files around, or you can just run things purely on the remote host. So let's just see how this works in reality. Okay, so now let's look how this task model works in reality. So first, I can give you some impression how the configuration works. Say this one, everything is configured in the SOS. That's the host .yml. So that's in the YAML format. And then you can see that in this file, you define a local host, which is what you are. I mean, in this is your desktop, and then define several hosts. Depending on the type of the host, it can be very simple because this is local host, very easy. This remote host is just a remote execution of task, nothing fancy. And this is HPC. It says marks running tasks, and then there are different paths here. So that's the map between your local host and your remote host. That's how the paths are translated. And then on the same machine, actually, there's a cluster system that's a PBS. You see the queue type is a PBS. And then there's a job template that you need to define. That's what you see over there. Okay, how to define different instance and how to execute the task. And then there's several commands you need to define. So basically, with those things defined, you can say, let's just try, should we use the command line system or the notebook? Okay, let's not use a notebook because it's easier to see. Let's start a notebook and create a notebook. Let's say, what do we want to have? We can define a task, okay? Say task, which can be a shell script. Let's see what the shell script can do. Count the lines of our file. Say this is renamed to task. Okay. Count the file of task.ypynb to the task.lines. This is just something, okay? And this is a task. Then we can do that. A task is created, and here, and you have that's very simple. And because we click too fast, it shows pending, but it's actually completed 2 seconds ago. And then this is the task and stuff. Okay, so if we go to this place, you can see some files that we don't need, and let's just remove them. This one. Okay, and we can also, yes, the cleaner. So now we have our files, which has the 6. So this is the output of that. So then, this is local. This is just a execute of a task in the locals. If you want to send it to a remote host, then we need to use some options, which is in this case would be run the queue. For example, that would be my Pro. Pro is my Office desktop, and then I think that's enough. Okay. Oh no, it doesn't work because on the remote host there's no file named task.ipynb. As I think this job is doomed to be wrong. Okay, that's fine. We know that. So input, we say that input is task.ypynb. That's our file, and then we say the output is supposed to be task.lines, and we say this is the input, and this is the output. And you know that we need to say expand equals to true if we want to replace the expressions between braces with their values. Okay, so now we have the run input and output and the task. So let's see. Okay, so info is sending the file target, and then it's running. Anything, okay, it's working, and then it's received this file. Let's see. We have the file here. Is that really the one? Yes, we know, because why is so long, 99? Okay, because it has the output and stuff, and it has more stuff. But the bottom line is that this is not the text, not the ninth file that we showed before. It's the new one. Okay, so I think this is the idea. Although I can show you how to send the same task to my cluster, but it's kind of implied to send such a tiny job to our cluster to wait several minutes or even 1 hour to have it executed and sent back. But the idea is the same. If you send the thing to the cluster, it will be sent to a task queue and executed and sent back. So I think the power of this mechanism is that by changing this line, you have control, you have access to all the computing resources you have, and you can just do a lot more than you can do on your local machine. So I think I will conclude this video here, and next one I will show you how to configure the remote host. Thank you very much for watching.